Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. I hope you guys had a great evening, great start to the day. Let's take a look at the stories that we're going to be covering. That's right, signal without the slop. Let's take a look. We've got some Ray Dahlio spreading some FUD. We've got some old school Jamie Dimon cope that we're just going to laugh at. Yesterday, there was a big call. When I mean big, I mean huge. And we're going to take a look at what that call was about. Study finds that Bitcoin is unstoppable. We'll take a look at that. Robert Kyosaki, huh? Rich dad, down bad dad. Huh? We're going to take a look at that. I'm always a critic of these guys because at the end of the day, these guys are just engagement farmers to sell you their products. And he's just a lifestyle grifter. I understand, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a good book. I read it too. Look, broken clock, right? We, as humans, we can all be broken clocks. Anyways, we're going to dive into some of the flip-flopping back and forth as not selling Bitcoin is selling Bitcoin. What happened to the Bitcoin? Yeah, all that fun stuff. And of course, there's no stopping the Fablecoins. And before we dive into it, yeah, exactly, right? Epstein's banker. But we don't want to talk about that, right? We don't want to talk about that. They're legitimate, okay? The bankers are legitimate. It is everyone else that's a criminal. Anyways, you know the deal. Going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we're going to be right back to dive into all the news. Let's do it.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right, let's kick it off right away with some solid hopium. Fellow Bitcoiner here, LP Capital. Bitcoin idea. You may not believe it now, but you will eventually. Got to tell you, that's some pretty solid hopium. We're kind of sitting right here. You know, I'll take it. Why not? So what? 2029, 420. Good number, solid number. I can live with that. Anyways, yeah, I love charts, lines, all that stuff. That is absolutely part of the fun, and I'm definitely here for it. Let's take a look at that study, right? Let's take a look at that study. So, major academic study on Bitcoin bans finds that Bitcoin bans can't stop BTC. It's amazing that they had to do a major academic study, because if you've been in this space long enough, you've already seen how Bitcoin can't be stopped. Yeah, indeed, right? They can hamper it for a while, and indeed, the governments can make it slightly difficult for a certain amount of time, but you may not recall, but China banned Bitcoin mining in 2021. Didn't take more than 6 months for that hash rate to return. So it's a whole lot of LARPing. It's a lot of pretending. It's really what it is. Anyways, let's take a look at this. These findings challenge traditional segmentation theory, demonstrating that decentralized technology creates persistent cross-market linkages that transcend regulatory boundaries. Oh my gosh. No way. They can't stop something that is sufficiently decentralized? Huh. Well, I'm surprised. They haven't been able to stop the Tor network, have they? Yeah, they sure haven't. Yeah, that is a good point. If China can't ban Bitcoin, then nobody can. I agree. I totally agree. I don't think that. Yeah, I think that was kind of that was the flag right there to let everybody know, hey, it can't be stopped. I know, right? What a massive revelation! It took a study, right? As if you couldn't figure this out in Bitcoin ourselves. But yeah, it's just funny to see this type of stuff. At the same time, right? I'm happy to see that, you know, a lot of this stuff is coming around. I'll take it. Okay. Let's let's take a look here at what Ray Dahlio had to say. Everybody trusts him, right? He's super loaded. He must know what he's talking about.
Small percentage of Bitcoin I've had for forever, like 1% of my portfolios.
But do you think you should have more? We keep watching.
But I think
Did you just call it Billcoin?
I've said the same thing over and over. I have a small percentage of Bitcoin I've had for forever.
That wasn't a word, by the way. He just that wasn't a word.
Like 1% of my portfolio.
But do you think you should have more? We keep watching.
But I think I've said the same thing over and over again about Bitcoin. I think the problem of Bitcoin is it's not going to be a reserve currency for major countries because it can be tracked and it could be conceivably with quantum computing controlled, hacked, and so on and so forth.
Oh, is this guy just fed the talking points before he got on stage?
I have a small percentage.
Oh god. Okay. So yeah, the quantum FUD, it'll never be a reserve asset. That all that stuff. Okay. Anyways, that is just really hubris about the U.S. empire, right? And about the U.S. dollar being the dominant currency. Yeah. I got to tell you, the more that we understand how governments can't actually control themselves and actually can never stop printing money, the more that we all realize, of course, that Bitcoin is going to become the reserve asset. They will have no choice but they're going to have no choice but to borrow from the bank of Bitcoin's credibility. Yeah. Quantum FUD is so hot right now. I'm so glad that we debunked it on this channel 3 months ago when it first came out. And it just wasn't so interesting. But now, today, that's it. The influencers, the shitcoiners, you got the Zek crap. Everyone's talking about it. So yay, that's right. Quantum FUD, it's real. Guys, it's not happening. And there's already Bitcoiners working on quantum resistance. So this is a giant nothing burger. Okay? It's just a giant nothing burger. I've been saying this from the beginning. And I will continue to say it. All right. All right, moving on here. Okay, you know what? I know you guys want to know about the big call. You're thinking, what happened? Who got the call? And what's next? That's right. What is this? The CIO of Bitwise back again? Hunter Horsley. This morning, that was yesterday, by the way, Matt Hugin did a call with 2,000 plus advisors of a very large bank. They wanted to know more about Bitcoin. Traditional investors finally have finally have access to this space. It's going mainstream. The big call, guys. It's the big call. Kind of reminds me of the partnership parade, right? Just got off the call with a big customer. They've got a huge order that we're going to get. Massive order. Could change the numbers going forward. Anyways, look, you know what? I appreciate the hopium. I appreciate the interest. And hey, look, we are going to find out just how serious all of this is and how much it materializes. But either way, 2,000 people on a call, that couldn't have been easy to manage. That definitely could not have been easy to manage. Yeah, exactly, right? Any day now. The cash is just around the corner. In 2017, I remember that the institutions were coming. 8 years later, they finally showed up. But for 8 years, the institutions were, they were on their way. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Honestly, with Bitcoin crabbing around 88K, I think TradFi is still extremely spooked. Yeah, I think it's, seeing and again, I don't really care about this, but if I was not a person that accumulates Bitcoin, that reads about Bitcoin, then I would definitely look at this 126 down to 80 something K and be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? This thing fell off a cliff. But yeah, and this goes back to having your own conviction, right? But when you don't sit there and depend on these hopium dealers, right, as a hopium crutch, well, you see this type of FUD, you see this type of news, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't phase you. Nobody cares. Just rolls off your shoulders. Anyways, let's make fun of Jamie Dimon for a second before we move on. Here we go. This is from 2015. The Bitcoin price was around 400. Shout out to Tales from the Crypt for posting this one. This is some good, solid, funny.
Wasting your time.
So you think they
When the DOJ calls someone up and says that's an illegal currency and it's against the laws of the United States of land, if you do it again, we'll put you in jail, it's over.
So you really
There's no issue. There will be, and this is my personal opinion, there will be no real non-controlled currency in the world. There's no government that's going to put up with it for long.
Anybody?
It's kind of cute now. A lot of the senators in Congress will say, I support Silicon Valley innovation. There will be no currency that gets around government control.
It's the funny thing is that he can say that as much as he wants. Unfortunately, for him, this is just empire hubris. That's all this is, right? And that was 2015. He has begrudgingly changed his tone. Don't mistake it, right? Where all of a sudden, as Frederick said, right, the Epstein banker, like, don't mistake the Epstein banker for all of a sudden being like, yeah, Bitcoin is great, this is wonderful. No, okay, this is just, he is begrudgingly bending the knee. That's all it is. And it's just so funny. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? It's like I can't term it anything else. It's just like, we are going to last forever. Look, the US is not going to be like the empire clock didn't stop ticking when the US came into power. Okay, that's not what actually happened. And in previous empires, they all thought the same thing. The Ottomans also thought they were going to be in power forever. 600 years they were in power, right? England, Germany. I mean, like, it's just every single one of them. They have their time, and it's always the same script, right? Countries are hungry. They build, they innovate, they're lean, they become prosperous. Then after that, essentially what ends up happening is that they become complacent. And then after that, at that point, they start to exist off of their reputation. And we are at that point, unfortunately, in the empire cycle where we're just coasting on fumes on the reputation. And as we know, as I've said many times, it's the stable coins that are just going to help kick this can down the road. But make no mistake, Oh yeah, that's a good point. We've been in power my entire lifetime. That will never change. Perception's a bitch, right? It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Okay, let's go take a look at some fails here. We've got yeah, that's right. Robert Kiyosaki, right? We're gonna take a look at this story because it's the timeline's kind of interesting. November 21st. Rich Dad Poor Dad author sells Bitcoin for loss amid market crash. Okay. So, on November 21st, Kyosaki announced that he sold 2.25 million worth of Bitcoin for roughly, so what was that, like 21 or 25 Bitcoin at the time? Anyways, the move came at the time when the November slump is testing the patience of even seasoned Bitcoin traders. He explained that the proceeds are being redeployed into traditional income-producing businesses, specifically 2 surgery centers and a billboard business. According to Kyosaki, these acquisitions are expected to generate approximately $27,500 per month in tax-free income by February, adding to what he described as a substantial base of cash-flowing real estate assets. Kyosaki reiterated that the move fits his long-standing framework of converting asset gains into real-world cash flow. What we just saw was an ad for his next grift. That's all that is, just an ad. Okay, this is complete freaking absolute nonsense. And the other thing is, these guys, right? If they're so freaking loaded, why did he have to go and sell that? Right? Doesn't he already have cash generating businesses? Couldn't he just take more loans? These guys they're all fucking scammers. I'm so sorry. It is just so sad. It is so sad. But anyways, let's the real thing is not about the grifting. It's just about the fact that you can't listen to any of these hopium dealers because they honestly have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Because guess what? 6 days earlier, he's not selling. 6 days earlier, guys, he wasn't selling. Look at that. What happened in 6 days? And here we go. Following the most recent crash to 6 months low of 94K, Kyosaki took to X to outline his strategy, and he navigates the waters. First, he reaffirmed that he has no intention of selling, similar to strategy. He noted that he does not need cash. What? And blamed people who do for the violent correction. Oh, man, self-awareness is a motherfucker, isn't it? Oh, man. Man, no way. Look at that. But 27th. You can't listen to these guys. This is such retardedness. Yeah, that's right. That is exactly right, man. That stuff, it just doesn't pay for itself. Well, he only had 60 Bitcoin. Now he's got 25 less. You know? But hey, it's the people who need cash that are selling, not Robert. He's investing. Guys, self-awareness, okay? One of the worst things you can do is lie to yourself, and sadly, that is the thing that humans do the most. Okay, so we lie to ourselves. So yeah, that's too bad. That is really too bad. Anyways, okay, we are going to take a look at something else right now. What? I don't know, but we're going to take a look at it right now. Ah, the fables. That's right, guys, the fable coins. Take a look at some fable coin stuff. I keep harping on this because I just, for me, this is like the most important thing. While there's so many cheerleaders around us talking about how, you know, Bitcoin is being accepted and Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin is growing and the government accepts Bitcoin and the government wants Bitcoin and and all this stuff. And it's like, guys, the state does not see beyond its own power. Okay. And I will just continue to hammer that over and over again. Everyone thought the Genius Act was about crypto regulation. The data just proved it was something else. 4 months ago, Trump signed a law that made headlines for 48 hours. Tech regulation, stablecoin rules, the market moved on. But the numbers that just came out tell a completely different story. And this is one of the things we've been talking about here on this channel for a while. Genius Act buried one sentence in 47 pages. Every stablecoin dollar must be backed 100% by U.S. Treasury bills. Nothing else qualifies. Not cash in banks, not corporate bonds, only government debt. Okay? So what does that actually mean, right? It is the full understanding. It is the full understanding that we are at the point in the journey where the train just goes off the rails. That's where we are. And the people in power know it. Okay. I forget who it was that talked about this. It could have been, I don't think it was Jerome Powell. It could have been Gary Gensler that mentioned this, but essentially that we can't actually stop printing any money. And this doesn't get any better. And really, the only thing that'll fix this, okay, is fiscal restraint. But we are well beyond the point of being able to do that. Well beyond the point of being able to do that. Okay, so the government doesn't need to find buyers for its debt anymore. I can't disagree. Tether does a great job. All the stable coins do a great job of being customers for government debt. The law creates the buyers automatically. Been saying that one for a minute. Every time someone anywhere in the world buys a digital dollar, a stablecoin company is legally required to buy a treasury bill. Oh, wow. The Bank for International Settlements measured the effect. Every 3.5 billion in stablecoin growth lowers the government pays to borrow money by 0.025. That's right, guys. We know that Bitcoin is the exit valve, but to the governments, the stable coins are the exit valve. At 3, and they're going to do it by pointing to the Bank of Bitcoin and its credit. Anyways, at $3 trillion, that saves $114 billion per year. That's $900 per U.S. household in lower debt costs. Percent confirmed it last week. He said because of a stablecoin growth, Treasury doesn't need to increase the size of bond auctions. Oh, look at that. It's financial engineering at its best. The government found a way to fund spending without traditional buyers. The government found a way to continue to print money and hide it. That's all. That's all. Exactly, right? 114 billion per year is nothing. I can't disagree. Especially when we just reached, I think we just broke the 39 trillion mark. So yeah, man, it's drops in the bucket. And this is why right now this seems like a decent plan, because they don't really, people aren't really paying attention to the orders of magnitude that of these dollars that need to be purchased, specifically the treasury bills, right, that need to be purchased. This is going to be really funny going forward. It's also going to suck, of course. But for those of us in Bitcoin, I think that we are going to get to hopefully laugh a little bit more from the sidelines. Oh yeah, that's right, man. Peter Schiff's gold-backed stablecoin. He's going to be stuck buying treasury bonds. Poor Peter. Won't even be able to use his gold again. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. Tomorrow I've got a guest joining me. It's going to be Frederick, who's working on a Bitcoin comic book, right? Frederick working on the Bitcoin comic book. And going to have him on the show. We're going to talk about the superhero he's created and the comic book that he is attempting to get funded on Geyser. Obviously, we're going to have links to that in the show notes tomorrow and everything. I hope that you join us. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Take it easy.